Hello, everybody. How's it going? Everybody feeling good? I hope so. First off, let me tell you that Cream was and still is one of my favorite bands of all time. When they were at their best live, there was nobody greater. And if you want to listen to perhaps one of the greatest live recordings ever, listen to Crossroads live version from Wheels of Fire. Jack plays bass on that one. He doesn't sing, so I believe he was able to, concentrate even more on his bass playing than if he was singing the song. So anyway, man, everything you needed to know about rock bass is in that song. This interview with Jack I did in August 2008. It was just amazing speaking with him. I had heard about Jack and those famous fights he'd had with Ginger Baker and all of that stuff. And I thought Jack might be a bit edgy, but nothing could have been further from the truth. He was a sweet, considerate guy, very humble about what he did. My conversation with him was amazing. And if you listen to the entire interview, and I hope you do, you'll hear me make a comment at the very end here, which was, not so much prophetic as, my true desire for him. So take a listen. Jack Bruce, one of the greatest rock bass players ever. And I hope you dig it. Bye.
Hi, can I speak to Jack, please?
That's Steven.
Hi, yes.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
All right, mate. Yeah.
Oh, great. It's truly a great privilege to speak to you. You've been, I'm sure you've heard it before, but you've been, one of my heroes for a long time, and it's truly an honor to speak with you, Jack.
So thank you.
Absolutely. Jack, I've just been spending the last couple of weeks here listening to, Can You Follow, and, all the different, bands and people you played with. I mean, did you have any sense, Jack, that your career, would take you in so many directions? I mean, did you know that that you wanted to sort of be involved in, blues and jazz and kind of fusion?
It started off just wanting to be involved in jazz, really, and then it just grew out of that. It wasn't any big master plan,
There wasn't.
No.
Jack, did you ever, if it had worked out that way, would you have wanted to have sort of maybe, found a band, a group of musicians that you could have sort of played with over the years? Was that part of what you were looking for?
If you're lucky enough to find the right kind of a band that you can do that with, then it's, it's very unusual, though, really, for bands to last as long as I've been playing.
Well, that's absolutely true. There
are a few, but mainly like people like Duke Ellington or Count Basie or something. Those kind of bands, they stuck together. But then again, some of them would leave, some of them would rejoin, and all of that.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just been kind of a journey, and things have come along, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to do them. But as I say, there was a certain amount of planning at points, but it was also just sort of fate, if you like.
Wow, I understand. Jack, were you always that kind of person where, were you looking to push boundaries? I
would say I was trying. That was always my ambition was to be a pioneer rather than somebody who, obviously you follow people. We all have people we look up to that we follow. And then I wanted to extend the boundaries of whatever music I was involved in at the time. If I was playing jazz, it would be a sort of free jazz. I wouldn't play straight ahead bebop or something as a rule. It would be more free. If it was blues, it was taking it out to another thing. The pop song, trying to find new ways of writing pop songs. Yeah, so I guess so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting. Jack, could we go back just a little bit and just kind of touch on some of these little
Sure.
different moments here? Great. I mean, I listened to the Alexis Corner stuff, and then I listened to the Graham Bond stuff, and in my mind, I mean, there's sort of there's kind of a huge jump there. I mean, I know that with Graham, you started playing electric bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, I mean, the style sounds like it's really being more defined, and you're finding.
Yeah, I'm sure that's very true. I mean, the very first things on there, I was 19 years old, so obviously I was trying to find what direction to go in. So I was very much just cutting my teeth on the instrument, as it were. And even by Graham Bond, I think I was beginning to get my own direction as a bass player.
Absolutely.
That was just also the very beginning of it.
It was. I mean, Jack, was that the point when you first started writing and kind of singing? Was it at that point as well?
Well, the writing I've always done all my life. As a child, I used to write a lot of music as well.
Mm.
Some of which I would use later on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you're writing music, you tend to kind of just keep it in your head. It just tends to hang around for years sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I might use that now.
What about a song like "Train Time," Jack? Was that one of your earlier kind of pieces?
Yeah, I think the first actual, not the first successful kind of rock song would be "We're Going Wrong." I think that was the very first one I wrote. NSU. I meant to say NSU for Cream. But I was writing things before that, and I had even had a couple of singles out before that. But that was the first real success, as I would say, as a songwriter.
Wow. So you would look at NSU as kind of the jumping off place for you?
Yeah, I would say it was. It was like the first song I wrote for Cream. And I wrote the words and the music, and it was written all at once, sort of thing. And then we used that. I remember our first real rehearsal, we tried that song out, and that then became a sort of a template almost for me to write songs from, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. Oh,
find a direction. It was always like an early kind of punk song. About 10 years too early, if you like. But it just I was just trying to find different things to bring to the pop song, like NSU's got a phrase of Otis Redding's that inspired me to write that song.
Oh, really?
That he phrased, and so that there's those little things in the songs, So.
Wow, that's interesting.
Little, messages or little things that resonate in the time,
That's unbelievable. I mean, Jack, the song is, it's an amazing song. I'm just wondering, the way that you kind of come in on that very strange kind of beat on the vocal, was that something that was there from the beginning, or did you just try that?
That was the actual, that was the Otis Redding phrase.
Oh.
That inspired the song, because he used to sing that syncopated thing, off, kind of across the beat.
Oh.
I just sort of thought that would be a nice thing to actually formulate that and make it into a song. Just that idea of phrasing, and that's why it's completely backwards. And then it goes on the downbeat. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, unbelievable. So it's funny. People may not think about it, or maybe they do. But you actually, obviously, you've played with Ginger for a huge part of your career. But you'd also played with Eric, in Mayall, and then the PowerHouse thing. So,
right.
So when you were in the room with the two of them, it wasn't. It wasn't completely like foreign territory for you.
No. Oh no! I enjoyed playing with Eric. For instance, the John Mayall thing was not really. There wasn't a lot of that anyway. It didn't happen much. But the PowerHouse thing, I enjoyed doing that session. I still remember it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
So and Stevie Winwood was there, and
Steve Winwood, and various people. It was Ben. on keyboards. He
Right.
ended up being a Cream roadie.
Oh, right. That's funny. I mean,
And yeah.
Jack, was there ever a sense that that might have turned into like a project with more life, or was it just meant to be kind of
No, I would think it was just put together by Joe Boyd.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he just probably came up with an idea of putting together a lot of the sort of up and coming young people of the time. That was my impression of it. Really. I don't think it was an attempt to form a band. It was people from different kind of different sides of the scene. If you like.
Interesting, because I mean, in a way, maybe that's where Eric maybe had his first introduction to Stevie, and then worked with him later in Blind Faith. Do you think?
Well, I think we all kind of knew of each other. I don't know if that was the first time, but we were all quite aware of Steve. And because he kind of burst on the scene. With the Spencer Davis group.
Oh, right.
So, we were all very aware of each other, but that was he just put Joe Boyd just put that together, and I think it was just put together for that one thing. I don't think there was any big plan to do anything.
Right. I see. Jack, I was listening to the music, and there's a song called Rootin' Tootin' that
Right.
you do, and there's a riff in there that, to my ears, sounds a little bit like the Sunshine riff.
Oh, yeah.
Am I completely off there? Am I crazy? In fact, the song's also in D, if my guitar was tuned properly, and it's kind of, it's very loose, kind of a dun 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 dun. I mean, does that resonate with you at all?
I would think it's like a lot of the things there. If you write a certain style, a lot of the things have similarities. But I think Sunshine was a one-off, really. That was just something that came, like a synthesis of different things, and just sort of came up one morning. They must be related because it's written by the same guy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, talking about Sunshine just a little bit, Jack. I mean, was it your idea or somebody's idea to kind of alternate the verses vocally, which is kind of a little strange thing to do in a pop song like that?
Yeah,
or a rock song.
I don't actually remember who had the idea of doing it that way, but quite a lot of our songs are like that anyway. The Cream songs, me singing a double lead like I Feel Free or something.
That's right.
It's definitely an approach like that to it, yeah. So I guess it was just a way of making it into that. It could have been a solo thing, but then there's the harmonies and different bits,
Yeah.
So I think it just happened that way. The way the song happened was the riff came first. I just played the riff on the double bass. And then I knew that had to become a song, but it took a while to make it into a song until Eric came up with the turnaround part, which is the part that he wrote of the song, the dad on it.
Yeah.
That part. So that got kind of grafted on. And then we were just singing the riff, like a variation of the riff. But who actually said, we should split this lead vocal? I don't remember. It may just have happened. We may have been just singing it together and then just realized it sounded better that way,
Wow. I've actually heard kind of different versions of that. In the arrangements, sometimes you'd come out of the chorus, the Eric's part, and kind of play the music twice, and then sometimes you do it once, and the instrumental sections got cut down and lengthened. I mean, So were you always aware of that, Jack? I mean, the arrangements. I mean, you're an arranging guy, and your composition. Were you always kind of looking to?
I think what happened with the single version was an edited version.
Oh, really?
That was probably edited. We may not even have been there for the edit.
Wow.
They used to do that a lot in the old days. You'd have a recording, and then they'd do a radio edit, as they called it, just to get it a certain length for the radio.
Right.
but then when you're playing it live as much as I have and as much as Eric has, you tend to play around with it a little bit, so he's got a different way. When he does it just differently from the way I do. Because I finish it in A. I go into like a improvised part in A.
Oh, really?
I always go back to the original key of D, but I'm pretty crazy. I just finish it. And you say there, just stay there,
Wow.
I go back.
Interesting. That's amazing. There was some songs, Jack, that kind of started showing up like on, excuse me, Disraeli Gears and more on Wheels of Fire. I mean, kind of as you said, and doing that scrapyard thing and Deserted Cities where, kind of harmonically it was stretching, you were bringing in, the cello and
Yes.
I mean, to my mind, I mean, obviously I have no idea, but to me that's kind of, it sounds like kind of where, I mean, Cream might have gone had they, done another studio record,
Yeah,
getting
it's possible, but it's also like really a sign that I wanted to do my own record.
Absolutely.
I think that's when the band was beginning to sort of go its separate ways, even though it was still called Creed. The records that I did, like as you said, which is just me playing acoustic guitars and cellos, and Ginger playing a hi-hat. So it's obviously not, Eric's not even on that track.
Oh, he's not on it at all.
No. So it's obviously a direction that I was going in even then, I was coming up with these different harmonic ideas, different guitar tunings, and different forms, shapes of songs.
Definitely.
So I obviously was wanting to go in a very personal direction. So I don't know if it would have worked as a Cream thing. I think that was part of the problem, was that we didn't really develop a style of songwriting as a band. We don't have that luxury.
Yeah. You actually showed, the band a couple of the songs that would later show up on Songs for Taylor, I think. I mean, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. There was Theme for an Imaginary Western, which kind of got rejected.
Oh, really?
Which I think is a shame. It could have been a nice version.
Oh, my God, it would have been amazing. I didn't know that Cream had tried that song.
Oh, yeah.
Well, are there actually demos of that song?
I think there is a demo of it somewhere. Yeah.
Wow. Unbelievable. And Weird of Hermiston?
Maybe I just played it to them, and because would play it on the piano, maybe they didn't quite get it.
Oh.
It's difficult for me to get my ideas across, because I always write it down, because being able to read music helps me. But Eric can't read music, so I would have to try and explain how the songs went. There's some songs it was relatively easy if it's a kind of guitar song, but for something like Theme, it would have been difficult for me. So maybe when I played it, it sounded too far away from a Cream song. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand.
They never went, wow, it's a great song, because I think it is a good song, and I think lyrically it's a great song. So it's a shame we never did it, but on the other hand, I got to do it on Songs for Taylor.
Wow, yeah, it's an amazing song. They could have done an incredible version, and obviously what Mountain did was just, I thought they did an amazing job with that.
Sort of like that.
Yeah. Wow. Songs for Taylor, was that you just kind of, with all these ideas and kind of being free of Cream and just having the opportunity to sort of express yourself and kind of do what you wanted?
Yeah, it was really the direction I wanted to go in. I wanted to use horns in some of the tracks.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to be able to have a different sound. I wanted to get away from this sort of virtuoso type playing,
Oh, really?
The Cream was sort of famous for. I wanted to find simpler players, which is why I got somebody like Chris Spedding, for instance, and John Marshall in particular, very steady, simple, good players, but more like not so. How can I put it without putting them down? And they're not actually creating, huge egotistical things on the record. You know, they're just sort of playing the songs. That's it. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Just actually playing the songs, and so it's the songs that are the thing. And also I didn't want any big productions. I wanted the songs with Taylor just to be like almost like a diary of a songwriter. You know, without having huge productions. I would just sort of do the song. You know.
Wow.
Just acoustic guitars or whatever I was using in that particular track.
It's an amazing record. The sound of your bass, Jack, I mean, were you experimenting with different things? I mean, it has this amazing kind of huge, I don't know how to describe this.
Yeah, well, all it was that I found I was still playing the EB3 Gibson.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, and I found this amazing 50-watt Marshall, because I used to use bigger ones, big 100 watts or 200 watts, but this was a little 50-watt Marshall kind of combo, and it just had a great sound. I don't know what happened to that little setup. I wish I still had it. It just had this really nice growly little sound. It was quiet, but it was very expressive. So I got exactly the sound I wanted for that record.
Wow.
On that setup, yeah.
It was an amazing sound. What was it like playing with Tony Williams, Jack? I mean, you played with, so many different drummers. I mean, I know your style doesn't change, but I mean, do you know that when you go into a session and Tony's sitting behind the kid as opposed to Ginger or someone? I mean,
it's going to be different.
Oh, really?
Tony was a great player. I mean, I think Ginger is a great player. And I would say Tony was as great a player, in his own way. But I always thought of Tony as a continuation of the sort of traditional American jazz drummer, like going from Baby Dodds way back, in the old days, right up through Elvin Jones to Tony Williams, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
So for me, that was a great honor to be playing with him as well.
And what was it like playing with McLaughlin? I mean, you actually played with John sort of way back in the day on some early stuff as well.
John I played with a lot, but John changed. I mean, on my solo record, if you remember, on that song, on Things We Like, he's just beginning to change his style.
Mm-hmm.
He's still playing fairly traditional jazz guitar, but he's taking it out as well. So around about that time, he was really changing into this very different kind of guitar player.
Definitely.
And by the time we got into Lifetime, he's very much changed, yeah.
Definitely. And what about kind of playing with Leslie and Corky? I mean, did that feel at all like Cream did? I mean, was it?
No, it was funny. It was just that I had been playing with Lifetime for trying to get something happening with that, and it was very complicated trying to get any commercial success with it, so far ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just, when I was asked to do the thing with Leslie, I just sort of thought, okay, then I'll just go back to my kind of roots, as it were, and just sort of have a rock trio and see what happens. I think the record companies thought we were going to be the answer to Led Zeppelin,
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the idea. I'd like to have an American Led Zeppelin, as it were. But it never reckoned with me.
So, I mean, you never saw it that way.
Pardon?
You never saw it as
I never no.
Saw it as coming an American Zeppelin.
I just saw it as I just thought it was a band, and maybe we could do something. And originally it started off very promisingly, but I'm afraid it was another question of the members of the band really not getting on too well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. I mean, it was funny that you would play with them, having done the work with Felix, and it's kind of a odd little circle there.
One of those things that happens.
Yeah, definitely. The apostrophe track with Frank is a pretty interesting little thing. I mean, that obviously was written for you, or?
No. I mean, that's just my riff. What happened was that Frank asked me if I would come and play cello on something, And I said, oh, okay, but I haven't got a cello. He said, don't worry, I'll rent you one. And I thought, well, this is not going to be much of a cello if you can rent it. So I went along to the session, and there was this unplayable cello. You know, I tried to play, but you couldn't get sound out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think his plan really all the time had been to get me to play bass guitar. He didn't really want to ask directly. So we just improvised that track, you know. He came up with the title, but it's very much just a bass riff, you know.
Yeah, it's a great little song.
Some of the most distorted bass sound I've ever heard.
I imagine.
Very far out.
Yeah. The Mick Taylor and Carla Bley band. I mean, Jack, were these guitar players? I mean, you mentioned that you were approached to do the Wes Bruce and Lang thing, but I mean, were some of these guitar players, I mean, people that you specifically wanted to go and play with? I mean, I know that you brought in Chris for your solo stuff, but I mean, was Mick Taylor someone that you had heard play?
Well, I had heard Mick. I liked him playing it, but it was really he that approached me. He wanted to leave the Stones, and he knew that I was putting a band together. So I guess it was management. You know, my manager was approached by him, and I thought it was a good idea. Good player, and
yeah, great player.
Initially,
that was great. Great, some of that stuff you guys did. I'm sorry. What was it like working with Simon Phillips?
Oh, Simon's great. I mean, he was just a kid when I first. I think he was about 17 when I first started playing with him.
Wow.
And he was very new because his father was a very famous Dixieland band leader in Britain, Sid Phillips.
Wow. And
Simon used to play with his dad when he was very, very young. But he wasn't allowed to listen to the Beatles or Hendrix or Cream or anything, you know. He was only allowed to listen to Dixieland. So his father died, and as soon as his father died, it sounds terrible to say, he rushed out and got all the Beatles records, got everything, and he listened to everything all at once, and so then he kind of came up with this amazing style and technique.
Wow.
So he was great. I remember the first tour that I did with that band. It was a lot of fun all over the States, little clubs.
Yeah, in fact, I remember seeing you at the Roxy here in Los Angeles on Sunset Boulevard with Simon.
Yeah.
And I remember you guys did that version of Politician, and the way he played that was just scary.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool. You mentioned the Beatles and Hendrix as someone that Simon later listened to. I mean, Jack, in your career, I mean, you've covered kind of, you know, Beatles songs and Stone songs, and you did Wind Cries Mary. I mean, were you listening to these bands when you were growing up? I mean, was McCartney or you know, any of these other bass players or what these rhythm sections were doing, were they?
Oh, yeah, I mean, once I got into the Beatles, the very early Beatles, I was not a huge fan of.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was more into jazz thing when they first, when they first started happening. But as they developed, I certainly was very loved the Beatles records when they came out. You know, sure.
And you actually played with George on.
George is on Songs for Taylor. Yeah, he's on that.
Never Tell Your Mother.
Never Tell Your Mother She's Out. Too.
Yeah, what a great song! Wow. Unbelievable. One guitar player that you've never worked with, at least I don't think you have, is Jeff Beck.
Well, I have a little bit, but not much. I played with him a couple of times, yeah. I played with once. A long time ago, I depped for the bass player in the Yardbirds.
Did you really?
He was when he was ill. I think he was ill, so they brought me in. So I did play with the Yardbirds for a night when Jeff was in the band.
Oh wow, interesting.
So I did play with him that night, and I think I've played with him a couple of other times.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is he someone that you've listened to, Jack? I mean, does he?
Well, you know, I've heard him. I'm not a big follower of him. I think he's a great player. I'm not. I couldn't tell you much about it.
I understand. And peripherally, Jack, I mean, and again, I know this is getting kind of obscure, but you were actually asked to join Zeppelin at one point? Is that true?
At one point, yeah, just after Cream split up, and I was just living in London, and it's John Paul Jones who got in touch with me asking me if I'd be interested in joining. I guess they wanted him to play more keyboards or whatever.
Huh.
But I just said, look, thanks for asking, but I've just come off of years on the road, and I wouldn't make it if I go back on the road immediately. So I didn't want to go back on the road and do all the same things again, only even worse.
So
I wanted to I was married, and I was having my first kid and everything. I was more into a little bit of family life after all those years of touring and everything.
I see. So then, the allure of sort of the big tours and kind of the big lights and that thing has really never been. I mean, that's really not what has attracted you. I mean, for you. It's always been more about, the music and doing what you wanted to do.
I like playing nice places, but I'm not. It's not about huge stadiums or something. That doesn't turn me on. But I'll play one if I'm asked. But I like playing the sort of places we've been playing on this tour are really nice. I think we get about 5,000-6,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack, what did it feel like? I mean, doing the Cream reunion. I mean,
oh, that was wonderful. I had been very ill, and so I had to really fight to get well enough to do that. That was my motivation, really, because I was in a coma when.
Oh my God!
They asked me to do it, so I had to learn to talk and walk, and then I had to learn to sing.
Wow!
Because I had to learn to talk, because I had no voice at all. So it was a long haul, and I don't think I was quite ready yet, but I gave it my best shot. I could have done with a few more months, honestly.
Uh-huh.
But that was the chance I had, so I did it. And I think it was, it seemed to work pretty well.
I mean, it felt good playing with those guys again, and there was some energy and fire, and
yeah, absolutely. It was just like we'd always played together. It wasn't. It just felt completely normal.
Huh.
Really natural.
Interesting. Playing with Gary Moore, Gary and Ginger. I mean, I really like some of those records. I mean, Gary's an amazing player.
Right. Yeah, I love Gary Moore's guitar playing.
You do?
Oh yeah, he's one of my very favorite players. But again, that was that was meant to be. Yeah, and he had agreed to do it, and then something came up where he was asked to play keyboards with Billy Cobham. So he kind of said, "Oh, I can't do this. I want to go and play keyboards with Billy Cobham." So we thought, well, what now? Because we had all those songs that we'd written, and so I think I said, well, let's get Ginger. And we did.
And Ginger was up for it, and
he was up for it, but then he also didn't really want to do it underneath. I think it got very difficult. He got very difficult during that band, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, Jack. I mean, I don't know if this is completely off base, but I mean, was part of the magic of Cream and you and Ginger sort of those, sort of the feelings that you guys had for one another? I mean,
Yeah, but I think that applies in a lot of bands. There's a lot of bands where there's a lot of tension between some of the members.
Definitely.
It's not just Cream.
Oh no.
I mean, like the Police, they had they have had a lot of problems between Stewart and Sting.
Definitely.
They're famous for it.
I mean, the Who. I mean, Pete and Roger. I mean.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying,
No, no, I'm
you know.
definitely sure that the sort of love-hate thing that we have going on is definitely good, you know, for the rhythm section because, well, I mean, he's the best. I wouldn't, you know, musically I couldn't fault him. If he's when he's on, there's nobody like him.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So, yeah, it's great, but there is always that little kind of tension there, definitely. Waiting for something just to happen.
Right. I mean, Jeff, when you look back at what you've done, I mean, is there any kind of one period or a song or one performance or one bass line or you know, one period of time that kind of really makes you smile and makes you feel good and that you really kind of, you know, hit a home run? I mean...
Right. Well, I mean, there's a few things that I've done that I'm not ashamed of, put it that way. But I'm not, you know, I mean, there's not any one particular thing.
No.
You could choose. You know, the reunion was obviously very much of a high spot, or having Cream, having the hit singles or the hit albums. Those are obviously very important for very big gigs you're playing that, you know, they're really special. You know, any all of those things are special. Getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
yeah,
getting a lifetime Grammy, all of those things are very nice. But it's really the music for me. You know, that's, you know, when I play every night, I get a chance to play, and I realize just how lucky I am. You know, that I can still do it, and that I can still get asked sometimes to do it. So I'm very happy about that.
You're so much more modest than I thought you would be.
Oh.
I mean, I heard stories of Jack Bruce's, you know, being this killer. You know what I mean? And
I think it's the reputation that leads me. I don't think it's always deserved.
Wow. So, I mean, what songs are you doing on this?
I start off with, as you said, just acoustic guitar.
Oh wow.
And then I do this sort of, you know, Sunshine and I Feel Free, We're Going Wrong, Deserted Cities, Politician, White Room. Those sort of things, sometimes Spoonful, you know.
Wow. That's
a nice
cool.
little set.
Definitely. Just a couple more questions, Jack, and I'll let you
Sure.
go. Jeff, do you have any feelings or any sense of, you know, the music around you today? I was always sort of a fan of sort of Cream era music and Traffic and Hendrix, and, you know, to me that was sort of the pinnacle of rock
Right.
music for me. I mean, do you have any sense that there's sort of, I mean, is there that kind of music around today? Are there those kinds of players and that kind of inspiration?
I mean, some really good players and really good bands. But there's not the same originality, the same kind of shock of something amazing coming along.
Mm-hmm.
There's some very good, you know, like the Radiohead album. That's a nice kind of listening album, but it's not. You don't it doesn't shake you to your foundations. You know, I mean, there aren't things like that anymore happening.
Yeah.
At the moment, but there are some really fine bands and some really good players. You know, and yeah, you hear things that are really good. I think it's more of an industry now. It kind of takes over, you know.
Yeah.
As opposed to kind of the explosions that we were going through in the olden days.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's, you know, it's
every time a new Stax record came out, or a new Beatles or a new whatever record came out, you know, you couldn't wait to hear it, you know.
Definitely.
Because it was going to be so creative, take you on a whole new journey, really. You know?
Definitely. And now
so, yeah, I mean, there are great bands around and great performers, but it's slightly different.
Definitely. So, how much longer are you on the road, Jack?
Oh, just a couple more. Just tomorrow, we'll play here in Atlanta, where I am. And then we're going down to Florida for a couple of dates, and that's it.
And then you're back home?
Then I'm going back home, yeah. And then I'm coming back in September to do a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame charity type thing for John Entwistle's charity and in North Carolina.
Wow. In my mind, there were sort of like 2 or 3 kind of rock bass players, and John was kind of one of the other ones. Was
Yeah.
Was he?
John and myself had a lot of respect for each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We always, we're always very polite to each other. Always kind of like gunfighters, so sizing each other up.
Yeah, he was an amazing guy.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy.
Yeah. So
as soon as they asked me to do that, I was very happy to provide my services.
Wow, that's very nice. So everything is good with you, and you're feeling good, and
yeah, I'm feeling good. Then I'm coming and doing a thing with the big band, the BBC Big Band.
Oh, really?
Which will be a broadcast. That's in November, and then I'm going to Japan to do a Tony Williams tribute thing.
Wow.
Where it's with Vernon Reid and Cindy Blackman. I'm not sure who's on keyboards yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to go and work up some songs in Tokyo, and then hopefully bring them over here. Maybe next year.
Wow. That sounds great.
Yeah. And I'm doing a couple of new records. I'm working on a new record with Robin Trier.
Oh, really?
And then on my next solo record, which I'm hoping to do next Easter.
Wow. Well, that sounds great. I just can't thank you enough for talking about some of these old things.
No, it's really been my pleasure. Thanks for phoning, Stephen.
Oh, thank you so much, Jack. You are the freaking best, man. I hope you please live forever. Okay.
I don't know about that.
Okay. Well, at least another 30 years. All right.
You got it.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Stephen.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.